Hi, welcome to Mouth Dancing. This is episode number 23. Thank you again for tuning in. Let's get this puppy started. You guys are fans of puppies, I'm sure, right? Most people like dogs, unless they're cat people, in which case they prefer kittens. But I have a dog. He's an older dog, but he's kind of like a puppy. You know, a lot of people, when they see a cute dog, no matter how old it is, they call it a puppy, right? Or they say, oh, look at that cute pup. Even though it's like, you know, an adult, a full-grown dog. Well, similar concept applies to this podcast. It's kind of like a puppy podcast. Or it's a puppy, it's cute, you know? It's not that young anymore. I'm already at episode 23. So I got some experience under my belt. But it's still like a puppy, you know? They're like, oh, look at that little pup. At least that's what I imagine people, you know, that's how they view this podcast. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I think it's not that weird. Especially if you think about, you know, the trajectory this podcast has taken. It's gone from basically nothing, like very humble beginnings, and it's just launched into the stratosphere, like a freaking rocket. But hopefully not like Jeff Bezos' rocket, because that thing was weird. It looked like a cock. And it seemed kind of pointless. Did he even go into actual space, or did he kind of just go up a little bit and then come back down? And why did he even do that? Just because he could, because he had the money? That was kind of weird. It's kind of symbolic too, right? He kind of looks like a cock himself, his bald head and his weird face. And he kind of like was trying to impregnate the sky or something with himself and that rocket. I don't think it worked though. That guy, he doesn't look very fertile to me, you know? He looks kind of like a freak. He's probably got like deformed balls and his sperm is all messed up from, you know, just being a dickhead in general. He was like, oh man, I'm gonna destroy all independent bookstores, and then once that's done, I'm gonna build up my own brick and mortar bookstores in their place. It seemed like he kind of made Amazon with the sort of under the pretense of like the internet or online shopping is going to replace pretty much all mom and pop stores, right? But then he like went and built a bunch of mom and pop stores after he destroyed them all. Kind of bizarre, isn't it? But I don't know. I think that probably contributed to his nuts, you know, being kind of weird and out of whack. So like, in order to compensate for that, he was like, I'm going to fly up into space and impregnate the universe, you know? I think that's probably why he did it. He also looks like he's probably like 5'4" or something. You know, I don't want to height shame people or anything, but he's probably got like a Napoleon complex, I imagine. Probably why he's such a shithead. Probably why he kind of squeezed his balls into oblivion. I don't know, I really hate that guy for some reason. I think it's because of what he did to Seattle. The city didn't used to be as sterile and just run by corporations. Well, it's like you have corporations and then you have homeless people. Huge multi-billion-dollar corporations and then penniless people on the street. I think that's pretty much what he did to this city. I don't know if you support him or not. I try to support him as little as possible. I don't buy any Amazon crap. A lot of it's, you know, fake anyway. You order some product on there, you think it's authentic, and then it turns out to be a bootleg product. It's weird how Amazon gets away with shit like that. Any other company caught doing that kind of stuff would be pretty much run out of town immediately, I think. And everyone would, you know, cease to buy from them. Doesn't seem to affect Amazon at all, though. I mean, you could write a bunch of reviews, but reviews don't really matter unless you really knock down the number of stars to like below 3 or something. Because it seems like for every bad review, there's hundreds or even thousands of good reviews. Jeff Bezos probably, walks around paying people to write reviews for his company. Or write good reviews of products on his website. I think I've seen him out on the street before, actually, doing that. He tries to disguise himself. He, puts on a wig and some, taller shoes. But you could still tell by his kind of weird, wonky face, Yeah, I don't want to face shame anyone either. I don't want you to feel bad about your face if you don't have, a perfectly symmetrical, beautiful face. I mean, I don't, for sure. My nose is kind of crooked and one of my eyes is smaller than the other one. But I mean, I'm also not Jeff Bezos, I'm not destroying entire cities, destroying the entire planet, basically, and flying dick-looking rockets into the sky to try to impregnate the universe with my deficient sperm. Do you think that guy, I don't know, logs into Amazon and just jerks off? Oh god, look at my creation. This is an amazing website. Look at the functionality. I paid these Indian programmers $3 an hour to do this, and I get all the credit for it. The actual unsung heroes of this website are poorly paid programmers overseas, or ones who I brought over to America temporarily and then I shipped them back home when they were, no longer of use to me. He's kind of like a comic book villain, He's even got physical deformities. I don't want to physically body shame anyone either, but I'm just talking about in terms of the way he looks. Kind of looks like a comic book villain, right? Or a Bond villain. One of those guys with wasn't there a Bond villain with no hand? And then he would just put this fake hand over it. It's kind of Jeff Bezos. Everything about him is fake, his whole personality and his face and I don't know, his ethics. He says he's going to do all kinds of shit or not do all kinds of shit. He doesn't pay any taxes. Yeah, he even doesn't have to pay any taxes. The richest people have to pay the fewest taxes in this country. Kind of crazy, isn't it? And then I don't know, it seems like the poorer you get, the more penalized you get. Crazy upside down system, but everyone's convinced that that's freedom, that's America. Is when there are just a few rich people with all the money basically controlling the rest of us like chattel, wage slaves. It's basically feudalism in the form of capitalism. That's what we got right now. And let me tell you, I'm not a vassal. I'm not one of Jeff Bezos's fucking field servants, I gotta go out there and pick up manure and then shine his boots or something. And then drink out of this poisoned well. I don't know, maybe being short and deformed and having a bad personality leads to success though in life. Seems like a lot of really successful people, what drives them is having some sort of inferiority complex. God, I'm so small and so weird looking and nobody likes me, so I'll get revenge on the world by creating Amazon. I think that's what happened basically. Anyone remember wrestling? WWF? I think it's changed into something else now. It's like WWE, and there's all these different wrestlers. I think it's become even more theatrical than it used to be too. There's even official sports coverage of it I've noticed on Sports Illustrated and stuff like that. That didn't used to be as considered as legitimate of a thing back then. Everyone was like, wrestling's fake, the Ultimate Warriors on steroids, and it probably shrank his nuts. You can tell because he basically wears underwear on stage. Wrestlers basically wear like spandex underwear as their uniform, and then that's pretty much it. Sometimes they have some accessories, like a hat or some armbands or some jewelry or I don't know, some kind of cool boots or something, or maybe some shoes. They're basically guys that get paid to act crazy and then they jump off the ropes and, dry hump each other into submission. Very homoerotic. But the fans are, I don't know, I don't think there are very many gay guys into it. There are probably some, but not that many. But it seems like the more homoerotic a sport gets, like football or wrestling, the more macho the fans are. Wonder why that is. I don't think it means that they're necessarily like closeted homosexuals. But maybe they just like, seeing guys like, groping each other and like on top of each other and really just grinding and smashing against each other. Something about that really appeals to dudes who are very straight, Wonder why. I mean, I like to watch football during football season. It's pretty interesting, like the strategies they use and stuff. I wonder if football would have even more fans though, if the uniforms were skimpier. Like they just played in basically like wrestling outfits where they're just wearing basically spandex underwear. I bet the viewership would skyrocket. And it would be mostly like straight identifying dudes. Maybe they like to watch it because then like their wives get horny watching it. Watching these really buff dudes like slamming against each other. And then they get to have sex more with their wives or something. I think that must be the reason behind it. There could be some like repressed homosexuality there too, but I don't know. That seems like sort of an easy argument to default to all the time, right? Like, oh, that guy's probably just a closeted homosexual. Well, not necessarily. He could just be a really homophobic asshole. And yeah, I mean, most homophobia is perpetrated by straight people, so to say that someone's just a closeted gay person is kind of a cop-out. At least, so I've heard. Kind of weird though, but their wife's probably fantasizing about this really like buff dude with a really nice body and not the schlubby fat guy who drinks beer all day and nachos and screams at a television, But whatever works to get your, your sex life and your marriage, keep it going. Because it can be tough sometimes, Gotta have a little bit of, like, I don't know, fantasy or something. Something to spice it up. Isn't it weird you could be married to someone and then not know what goes through each other's heads? I mean, you could get some information, but it's not like they're going to tell you every single thing that's going through their head, because I think that's impossible. You'd have to be like a mind reader to do that. And I don't think that that's possible. Supposedly there are like these psychics and people with ESP who could purportedly read minds. But I don't really believe in it. Seems like a hoax to me. Like something that the mainstream media is perpetrating. To trick us into thinking that there are psychics out there. It's kind of a scare tactic. If you're worried that psychics are reading your mind, you're probably less likely to get out of line and do something crazy, like riot. Or rebel against the government. Or try to stick it to Jeff Bezos. I think that's basically what it boils down to. It's a conspiracy, basically. and I just revealed it to you. The next time you see a story about a psychic, on TV or in the news anywhere, be very, very skeptical. They're trying to control you like a sheep. So don't be a sheeple. It's my advice to you. Because sheeple are, they're below us. They don't think for themselves. And this is not that type of podcast. It's not who I am, and it's not who my listeners are. And with that note, I'd like to say toodaloo. See you next week. Bye.